Students teachers of Reddit, what's the best forgot to turn off the mic story during virtual learning? Well, it happened in one of the classes. The teacher was going through a rough time and the class could feel it. We assured her that we had done our homework and that she could take rest for the time being. She agreed and told she would switch her mic off and sleep for a while, as we did whatever. Her husband was right beside her and the mic wasn't turned off. She told, "I am so lucky to have these students," and started sobbing to her husband. We all heard this, but kept quiet to prevent her being embarrassed. She slept well during that time and we sent her a thank you gift collectively. I teach for an online university that requires me to conduct a weekly live session. One morning I was lecturing and a student popped in late. I said, "Hello, student name. Thanks for joining us." She said, "Don't say my name, bitch," just before she realized her mic was on and turned it off. I just laughed. Ironically, my IT teacher forgot to turn off his mic and camera and proceeded to get in a very heated argument on the phone with his ex-girlfriend who he has a kid with. Did I mention that she's also a teacher at our school? Yeah, most awkward 5 minutes of my life before he realized. I was producing a video for some university professors on a specific medical thing for a virtual learning course. I was all set up to shoot the process, and the teachers excused themselves to the next office to regroup and have a chat. I already had their wireless lav mics attached and fed to my camera, so when I sat down at the camera and put on my headphones I immediately heard their conversation. They were criticizing me, saying they couldn't believe they hired someone so young, inexperienced in that particular medical field, how I looked, how I asked questions, etc. Oops. At least I made them a fine video. These days I don't put my headphones on until we're about to shoot. During my English class, this one girl forgot to mute herself. While my teacher was talking, she almost deafened all of us on the Zoom call answering her mother's questions. Her mother, from a distance, "What class are you in?" Her, yelling, "English." Her mother, "Oh, the hot teacher?" Her, "Yeah, that guy." Now, even I'll admit my teacher is fairly attractive, but it does take it to another level when you get your own mother involved. Thankfully, our teacher is a chill guy and thought the whole thing was just kind of funny, and kind of just gave a general reminder to the class to keep mics muted. She didn't say anything for the rest of the class. In a math class I was in last year, we were taking a test, which you have to turn your mic on for, their way of trying to prevent cheating. Some girl apparently forgot that hers was on and started belting out "Stand By You" by Rachel Platten at the top of her lungs. It went on for the entire song and she was still humming it when I finished the test and left the call. Dude, my one teacher forgot to turn off his camera and his son was changing in the background and the son kept on looking at the camera. I remember a similar question where a mom answered that she was taking a Zoom call in the garden, until a coworker mentioned that there was a naked kid skateboarding behind her. When I was doing an online algebra camp, the teacher forgot to turn off his mic while we were supposed to be doing some problems. He said, "I freaking hate math." As a math major, I can confirm that the better you are at math the more you hate it. My teacher got scolded by his wife, another teacher in school, because she needed to work and he didn't repair her computer. He was a computer technology teacher and he just keeps saying, "Sorry honey, I forgot. I won't do it again. I promise it will take 2 seconds to fix it." In loop because the wife went on a little rant of how he always forgot things. When he saw the mic was still on he blushed and after a moment of silence just went on with the lesson. In a thermodynamics class, one of the students said, "Holy shit, this is so much," after covering a large set of equations related to fugacity. Everyone found it relatable. One of my professor's classes had a student say something like, "I just joined 5 minutes before class and this asshole is already teaching." The professor just laughed and told him his mic was on. In one of my classes, this girl wrote in the Zoom chat, "This is so freaking boring," not realizing that the professor could see it. Not a mic but an elementary student left their camera for a moment and the mother walked by naked. Guessing she asked him to leave the room so she could change or something, not realizing the camera was left on. I'm not a student, but work in the tech industry. I've been in meetings where people forget to mute themselves on large company calls, with hundreds or thousands of attendees, and will hear a fart and then a toilet flush. That's about as interesting as these meetings get though. So I have one. I just did 8-hour Zoom calls for 7 weeks training for a new project. On the second week, a man unmutes his call, farts the longest fart I've ever heard in my life, then when he finishes, mutes the call. I can see others laughing while muted at his fatal error of thinking he wasn't muted and so he went to mute his call. I found this to be the highlight of the week, but the following week the guy does it again. Honestly, the second time I laughed but then started to wonder if it was some kind of power move. Not virtual, but I was a guest speaker at a music college last year. My mic was still on when I finished, went backstage, and said, "Well, that was freaking horrible." I wasn't called back to speak again. Edit, for those curious of the aftermath, I heard it out of the speakers and an immediate uproar of laughter ensued. I would have laughed had I been a student, but as a working professional, it was one of the single most awkward experiences of my life. I had a student's boyfriend, both college, walk up behind her on Zoom, reach into her shirt, pull out her breasts, and start doing a little boob dance. She was just laughing and playfully slapping his hands away. This was probably 30 seconds after I had just gone through my whole speech of making sure there was nothing in your browser history, Google search history, or names of folders that could be embarrassing or offensive. One time in an art class, separate from my school, my dad knocked on my door. It was dead silent at that point, everyone was working on their projects. I clicked the mute button and yelled what? Turns out my mic was already muted and I turned it on. I startled the entire class and the teacher asked if I was okay. Somebody in my class forgot to turn off the mic and started singing along to a song and loudly. Somebody told her and there was this odd whoop noise and then she cut off. During a virtual gym class for my high school, a girl forgot to mute herself during a workout and yelled some obscene things very loudly. It never occurred to me that there would be virtual gym class, but it makes sense I guess. Also, they should allow obscenity in schools, especially in gym class, creative writing, and computer programming. I was visiting my best friend during a lecture and she had her mic and video turned off. She then had to join a group discussion and sometimes unmuted herself to contribute something. After that the whole class was supposed to present their results and she supposedly muted herself again. I started venting to her how wasps are considered wild bees even though they have no business being bees because they're assholes, and suddenly we hear laughter from her professor and her classmates. She forgot to mute herself. A girl's mom, who the frick you on the computer for this early in the morning? And asking the same thing over and over. Teacher, I think your mic is on. A student's mother had the habit of standing just off camera and very closely observing her kid. I know this because one time the student forgot to disable the mic. Everyone heard how the mother was coaching the student how to act. Don't look my way, smile, pay attention. It was next level helicoptering, right on the edge of abuse in my opinion. Our school has a good counselor and the student is getting help. All the teachers have been advised to limit contact with the mother and not make waves, lest she withdraw the student or redouble her controlling behavior. I worry about it. It isn't too bad, but during the graduating ceremony for a class, all staff were asked to attend and turn on their mic to clap at certain points so it wouldn't be awkward. One such staff member forgot to turn their mic back off and was heard loudly jokingly insulting her husband and asking for another drink whilst complaining about how long and boring this was. This was broadcast to a whole class, their parents, and anyone else listening. We stuck together and didn't tell anyone who it was, but we all knew. Mute your mics. My son calls his tablet his fix because when I first got it and the battery would die, I'd tell him I was going to fix it. So imagine his pre-K teacher's surprise last spring when he asked me if he could have his fix now that he was done with school. Lol, I cracked up, held up the fix in question, and explained what he meant. A student in my class forgot to turn off their mic, and we heard some background noises, doors closing, tapping, and because of a display bug, we couldn't see where the noise was from. Then the student started saying crap about the teacher. Oh, yeah, this is useless, he's just writing on a tablet, even I could do that, etc. Everyone heard that, the teacher heard them just insult him. They didn't come back to the classes after that. English Zoom call. Teacher was holding us like 15+ minutes after the period had ended. She said something along the lines of keep working arduously and I responded with if she says arduously one more time I'm going to flip a table. I was not on mute. During one of the lectures, our cat came into the room and jumped into my lap. I proceeded to tell him how very cute he is and how much I love him, in the stupidly sweetest voice possible because he's the best boy. Then, a full minute or two into me praising the cat, a message popped up from my classmate saying I'm unmuted. I had a mini spook and replied with oh ha 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 I was just talking to him plus a picture of the cat. It was extra awkward because I walk around with a resting bitch face and barely talk to anyone when we're at uni. So my classmate later admitted that the only reason no one warned me sooner was because it didn't occur to them that the person with this sweet voice was me. Heard the clapping sound of a kid jerking off. His name lit up and everything. He was recognized for his actions. I'm a student, and my teacher was talking to his wife at first. Pretty normal, right? Well, she leaves, then he gets on the phone and says, yeah honey, my wife just left, wanna come over? The entire class went batshit bro. Not really a mic story, but a friend of mine Facebook stalked a cute guy in there too, before realizing she was still screen sharing. And this is why you always stalk people on a different device. I had to defend my thesis over Zoom and many professors came into the call to watch. My thesis was about immune response in fish to parasites. One professor joined late and forgot to mute her mic and we got treated to this little gem. Mommy is learning about fish parasites, which is what you'll get if you don't stop peeing in the koi pond. Not a Zoom, but when I was a flight attendant, we used handheld mics to give briefings and make announcements. One female passenger got in my friend's face and screamed at her that if her bags were lost or if her golf bag was damaged she would make sure to hold her personally responsible. My friend was pretty shaken not only by the loudness and anger but by the woman's spittle and tried to hold it together to give her departure briefing. "Welcome aboard FLT-30, service to Orlando. You fricking bitch." The entire plane lost it. My friend had forgotten to let go of the key on the side of the mic so all noise was picked up. I'm a college student. Last semester we had a girl place an entire dinner order over the phone with her mic on while we all tried to tell her that her mic was on. I think she had us muted. She was ordering Mediterranean food. I think she got a chicken gyro. So we were making our classes as phone call on an app called TeamSpeak I think. Anyways, I was using my phone to talk and my computer to work and sometimes check Discord. At a point, we were supposed to do some exercise on our own and I left my mic on. My friend sent me a message talking about the fact that he got a girlfriend. So I sent him "You did it, you crazy son of a bitch." Then I wanted to add some emoji, so I tried to edit the message and I hit the text-to-speech button instead. The computer literally yelled "You crazy son of a bitch." My college class got to hear me tell my dog about how good he is. I'm a tutor, and my student forgot to mute themselves before leaving for a 5 minutes break. She had a beautiful conversation with her brother about how much of a cunt I was, and how much I sucked, and how poor I looked my house look. Luckily, I always record my tutoring sessions, so I finish as if nothing happened, and sent the clip straight to my supervisor. She got booted off of the tutoring program, as I'm the only tutor advanced enough for her grade that is able to take her. Someone in our science class didn't realize he was unmuted and called a widely disliked kid the hard RN word. Somehow he didn't even get in trouble. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking and leaving a comment.